If you need a way to image one hard drive to another, the nerd recommends a copy dock. These are fire and forget, copy the source disk to the target disk, and they also double as a USB hard drive adapter for that SATA hard drive. Best of all, they're only about $40. So the Ulratech is a copy dock. Now we can use it one of two ways. If we plug a SATA hard drive into the unit and run the USB cable to the computer, it just turns that hard drive into a USB hard drive. But in addition, I can pop two hard drives in it and copy the source disk to the target disk. So let's take a look at this unit. So up top you can see where the disk drives go in. They just plug in cartridge style. Make sure you get them in straight. And it can also accept a 3.5-inch hard drive. It's just going to push down the little door when you do it. If you look on the back, it accepts a USB 3.0 cable and a power connector. And if we look at the front, we can either, by default when you power it up, as soon as you hit the power switch, it is a USB dock. But if we hold the mode button for several seconds, it will change to copy mode, and then we can hit the duplicate button and it will copy whatever is in the source drive to the destination drive. Now this is not doing what we call a smart copy. It is copying sector 1 to sector 1, sector 2 to sector 2. Your destination target disk has to be the same size or larger than your source disk. It doesn't matter how much of your source disk you're using. It's looking at the physical size of the drive. So let me get this plugged in and turned on. I'll get both disk drives in it and we'll switch it to copy mode. All right, I've got both disks plugged in. I'm going to power it up. I'm going to hold the mode button down. And you see it is changed to copy mode. So now I've got a blue light for source. It sees the source hard drive. I got a blue light for the destination. My source drive is a little puny 40 gig hard drive. My destination is a 500 gig hard drive. I should be good. And I'm going to hit the duplicate button and let this start. So on this particular unit, to start duplicating, you got to hold the duplicate button down until it actually starts copying the source to the destination. And there it is, off and running, and you see our copy is somewhere between 0 and 25%. I'm going to switch this to a time lapse. Well, the copy announced completion with several loud beeps, so now we have an exact copy of what was on this hard drive to the destination hard drive, including the size of the partition. So typically you might be going from a smaller hard drive to a bigger hard drive, but to take advantage of that larger disk drive space, you're going to have to use a partitioning tool such as Windows Disk Management or the Parted Magic Disk to enlarge the partition on the destination disk to take advantage of all that extra space on your new, larger, roomier hard drive. So here's the result of the disk copy I did with the copy dock. I powered down the copy dock, I pulled out the source disk drive, I left the destination 500 gigabyte hard drive that I imaged onto in the copy dock, and I'm going to power it up, and when we power it up, the copy dock by default goes into USB mode, so it's just a USB hard drive. So I can see my destination disk, but it's only showing 37 gigabytes. And the reason for this, the reason it's not showing 500 gigabytes, because it is a 500 gigabyte SSD in there, is because it did an exact copy of what was on the source drive, including the partition table, sector by sector. The partition table said this partition is 37 gigabytes in size. So we got to fix this. To fix this, we need to use a partitioning tool, and Windows Disk Management will do this for us. So you can either go to the Windows search box and type in Disk Management, Or I can just right click on this PC and say Manage. Let me pull this onto the screen and minimize this one. And then I'm going to go to Disk Management. So if we look through here, if we look through the list of drives, we can see the 500 gigabyte hard drive. Now Windows shows the 500 gigabyte hard drive as a 465 gigabyte hard drive, and that's because Microsoft uses the computer science definition of a gigabyte versus Samsung and all the other hard drive makers use the straight number definition of a gigabyte as 1,000 megabytes. So here is the copied partition, and all this space is unallocated. So I should just be able to right click on this and say extend volume. And if I run through the wizard here, by default, it's going to use all the available space on this disk. Now I can say finish, and you can see it has expanded the partition out to use the entire drive. So now my copy truly is finished. If I go back to File Explorer, pop that up on the screen, come on baby, and refresh, there we go. Now it's showing that this new volume is using the entire disk drive. So these copy docks come in handy because they're fire and forget. You can just throw the two disk drives in it and say copy. It's not going to be the fastest copy because it's not doing a smart copy. It's not going to resize your partitions. You have to do that yourself afterwards. But for convenience sake, something you can just pop two disk drives in and say copy and walk away. Plus, you can use it as a USB hard drive dock. These are nice little units for the price you're looking at, $35 to $45, and they're all pretty much generic. That's going to do it for this episode.